so quiet. Thank you very much. My name is Thierry Masango Obase, and I am from Cameroon, but my identity is music. The piece I just played is an improvisation piece. I didn't practice this before now. It's originally, I would play this on the xylophone, but I transcribed this to the keyboard because I don't have a xylophone with me right now. I'm the only son to a family of 5, and my mother loved me so much, and she did everything that I become a medical doctor. And my story is I'm going to tell you my story how my mom tried to push me away from music, but every step she took, she sent me closer to music. I remember when I was in the primary school, she took me from my regular primary school in my last year to another school because she had heard that this school offered better education. But this was going to be my first ever encounter with music. So I was asked to join the choir, and on auditioning for the choir, I couldn't remember. I couldn't sing any song because I didn't sing in my life before. So the only song I could remember to sing for the audition was my national anthem. Later on, when I graduated from primary school, I had to go to a high school, and mom insisted that I go to a minor seminary. She actually agreed that I should be rebaptized into the Catholic Church from the Presbyterian Church because she wanted me to go to this school. And according to her, because this school gave one of the best education at that time in Cameroon. Little did she know that among the very few schools in Cameroon that offered music as a subject, this was one of the best. And so in our first 3 years, we did music as a subject. I regrettably learned very little in music because it was quite a difficult subject and very uninteresting because it came like at the end of the day and directly before lunch. So we didn't have enough patience to stay in class at that time. But later on, I wanted to teach myself an instrument. And I started teaching myself the xylophone. This was my first encounter with the xylophone. So I started teaching myself the xylophone. I would listen to sounds, I get the sound patterns, and then search on the xylophone keyboard. And then after a while, maybe sometimes 5 days, 4 days, 1 week, I'll learn one song. Sometimes later, it became easier for me. Later on, the main xylophonist in high school graduated, and the school needed someone to replace him. I wasn't even among the first 5 choices, but I needed something to stand out. So the fact that my mom had refused to pay for my extra lessons, xylophone lessons, and I wasn't one of those who were being given after school xylophone lessons, I had to teach myself. And this actually made me to be very, very creative on the xylophone, and I improvised a lot. So, for example, a lot of people, if we played a conventional song and all xylophonists were going to play a particular song intro, like, so if Obase was supposed to play, I was going to play something like this. And a lot of conductors didn't like this because it made them very confused. But, but luckily, my music teacher liked it because he liked the creativity and the improvisation. And that's how I became the main xylophonist. And for the rest of my high school life, I was main xylophonist. Later on, I was made singing prefect, music prefect of the school. And we faced a lot of difficulty with the administration because they didn't want me as singing prefect. He had thankfully pushed me into the music department. A few months later, he resigned because of the ridicule and the workload. And then I was faced with this big challenge, to carry the music of the school all by my own. But this was the time that I composed my first song. We went for a competition. We had the trophy, and I was awarded the best conductor of that competition. When I finished in high school, I did the sciences out of pressure from my family. I didn't like it at all, and I wasn't good at it. But thankfully, I passed my final exams. When I finished high school, I had to go to the university. I didn't have enough points to sit in for medical exams. So mom sent me to a university that she thought was the best next thing I could do, and that was biochemistry. I had to go and study biochemistry in a university like very far from home. Before I ever got seated in a university classroom to to have my first course, I had registered myself in a music center. And I wanted to learn the guitar. In the middle of the year, she took me out and sent me to a university closer to my home and asked me to study sociology because she realized I didn't like biochemistry. But again, I did more music than sociology. I also registered myself in a music institution and I wanted to learn the guitar. But 2 weeks after I registered, they asked me to teach the keyboard to some students. So I didn't like this. It was very unfulfilling for me because I wanted to learn, I didn't want to teach. And I knew that if I started teaching people, I wasn't going to learn enough. So I left. I got engaged into choral music and did a lot of choral music and taught myself and all of that. On a certain summer holiday, I went to a cyber cafe. I checked my email. I had received an email from a university in South Africa. And when I looked at it, it was an admission form that I had been accepted to study music in one of the universities in Pretoria. I printed it out. I ran home very happy. And when my mom saw me, she was curious. So when she took the form, she looked at it and she realized it was music. And with falling George, she told me, Thierry, I've told you anything? Yes. Music? No. And she asked me, what do you want to become in future? A choir master? What fortune are you going to make out of that? You know, and this is the conception that the Cameroonian society has, because a lot of youths get into one thing or another because of pressure from the family, or maybe because the society mandates them to become that. But for me, I chose music, and my choice is based on my happiness and my urge to heal the world in a very special way. It became very frustrating for me, and I tried very hard. I played in festivals, in weddings and funerals, raised a little money, and then sponsored myself for 1 or 2 music workshops or seminars. But yet I still found it very frustrating. So I told her, Mom, I want to go to the seminary. I want to become priest. And she said, okay, that's fine. You can go to the seminary. So I went to the seminary, and I was doing good. I prayed well. But I realized that every time I sat to reflect, I realized that I was running away from my fears. I was running away from my challenges. And I was almost giving up. So I opted out. I wanted to face my challenges. When I came out, I started playing professional soccer and doing more music until I got an accident that ended me an operation and I couldn't play anymore. So I decided to move to the UAE to get a job and get some money so that I could support my family too, because I knew that I loved music, but my family was my responsibility. When I came to the UAE, I got interviewed by Seiko, and I had a job with my company, Seiko. And I'm very thankful to Seiko because they have supported me. They found this young, enthusiastic, energetic young man who wanted to do so many things during the day. And they have left me in the night shift for almost a year now out of my request, because I wanted to use the daytime to do other things. And for that, I'm very grateful. Being in a campus like NYUAD, I've had the opportunity to grab so many learning opportunities. I've been able to get into one thing or another and increase my music knowledge. And I have been very, very pushy with some people. And among those who have suffered from my musically very wanting attitude is Bill Bergen. He has actually given me the opportunities more than I asked, because sometimes he thinks that I'm coming to ask, and he just gives me even when I'm not coming to ask. He's the first person to actually ever buy me a musical instrument ever in my life, and that was last year. He bought me a harmonica. And I'm very grateful to all the professors I met here at the Art Center, because I know almost all of them, and I've knocked at the door of each and every one of them to learn one thing, to ask one question or another. And to my very good friend, Gary Chan, if he sees me coming, he knows that I have a question in mind, musically, to ask him. I'm very grateful for all of that. I couldn't be anybody today. I couldn't be standing here giving a TED Talk without the people of this community recognizing the fact that I have something in me and I have to push it forward. That has been enough boost for me, and I'm grateful. I want to end this talk by concluding that we should all encourage one another. We should all help each other to do what we love to do and what we love to become what we love to become. Because for me, that's the only way that we can live in the world in peace, in harmony, in friendship, and in love. Thank you very much. Thank you. I am going to play. Now that you know what the xylophone actually is one of the most important instruments culturally and musically in Cameroon. Now that you know what the xylophone is, I'm going to play one piece for your listening pleasure. You can dance to the groove if you can. It's okay, you can just listen.